I consider you a friend. If I saw you at the grocery store, I would go up and give you a hug.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Gave you a hug when I walked in.
Yeah, and
We've been friends a long time.
yes, so I would consider you.
I mean,
a friend.
you guys were just kind of getting started when we
for sure.
hung out, and
Yeah.
and then you just like blew up and became like an icon or something. It's crazy.
I don't know that that's true, but it has been good.
Been a good ride for sure, man.
It's been a lot of revisionist history with me, and I was going to ask you about that with you, where with me, it's like, you moved to town. Wow, you're huge. But it was like the first couple years here, like I had to sell my whole company that I had sort of syndicated myself with my own money. And we started over, and it was miserable, and I had to buy billboards against me. There was all this strategy, and it was really hard for 2 or 3 years where we almost didn't make it. But that's what actually made us really make it, was being so different and then weathering all of the already set in negativity of, I mean, that's really what it was. We were so different. Is that at all your story? Because now you're just super successful, Dave, always been rich.
Well, not always, obviously. What ended up, I think more than, we've had our waves of negativity, different things, for different reasons at different times. Around the broadcast part, we've reinvented ourselves as the platforms changed. I mean, obviously, I started in talk radio. Talk radio was a big deal. When I started, Rush had been on the air 2 years, and so talk radio evolved as we grew and ended up with 680 stations. And before he passed, we were the third largest. Now we're the second largest talk radio show in America, the only one that's independently syndicated. And today, that doesn't matter. What matters now is podcasts. What matters now is YouTube. Our numbers on those things, on Spotify, on Apple, on those things, those downloads, it's just in the billions. And so that's a reinvention in that, you have to conform to the new technology. And the wonderful thing is you get to reach a whole new group of people that you didn't reach before.
Was there ever a moment where it almost didn't all happen early on, though? Like before you started having success at talk radio, was there a decision you look back at and it's like, man, this almost didn't work out?
Oh, a bunch of them, especially in the early days. I started on WTN, which was in Chapter 11 bankruptcy at the time.
The station was?
Yes. So that's the irony.
Is
the Ramsey show starts on a bankrupt station. So,
and I'm assuming they didn't pay you a bunch of money then.
They didn't pay me any money.
Really?
No, matter of fact, I've never been paid by a radio station. I was working, I just took the thing and they said, we'll give you some ads that you can barter. They were $6 a spot at the time. And so we made nothing. We're doing it for fun, and again, it blew up. And then Gaylord bought it out of bankruptcy. And we thought, we're done. They're going to take a country and we're out of here. And they did some qualitative and quantitative research, to their credit, and found that we had a ton of phantom cum because no one ever told us to say the call letters. So no one was writing it down. In those days, you wrote it down in the book, the ratings book, and we started saying the call letters. We went to a 7, from 0 to a 7 to a 14 in 3 books. And all of a sudden, everybody in Nashville is looking at talk radio, and talk radio was kind of in its zenith in those days. So everybody's talking about the water cooler. Hey, if you listen to G. Gordon Liddy, George Plaster, in Nashville, that was the deal.
What was it like for you, like as a person, like kind of like the origin story of Dave? Because even I have read about you, and I know you grew up in Antioch, and Antioch is not Beverly Hills.
No.
And again, my association with you is I know the guy. I think a lot of people that watch you on TikTok is you're just the rich guy that's smart. So what's like before all that happened? You grew up in Antioch. What was home like?
Antioch in those days was rednecks, and now it's kind of international flavor. It's the demographic has shifted, and but it was a 1,000 square foot house with an unfinished basement, and we did not have living room furniture until I was 14. So it was just a big empty room because then they buy the living room furniture. So I bought the house. Mom and Dad bought the house for $12,250 in 1960, and Dad was a serial entrepreneur, so we were either driving Cadillacs or having them towed. And so I learned a lot about entrepreneurism
from just living through it.
Yeah. I mean, one summer we got a nice boat to go skiing, and the next summer we got no boat. And so, and that was part of the life that we grew up with. And then I was going to go then we're in the real estate business. So I'm going to go in the real estate business. I got my real estate license when I turned 18. 3 weeks later, sold my first house, and I moved out of the house and took off. and went to Knoxville and got a degree in real estate, working down there 60 hours a week. They taught us work ethic and always worked hard.
Your parents did?
Yes, always worked hard. Yeah. There's a lot of miscellaneous unpleasant in a house like that. Sometimes we put the fun in dysfunction, but other things were, they taught us entrepreneurism, they taught us hard work. They were charismatic people in terms of always telling a big tale, a big story, which has worked to my benefit now. They're storytellers out of the mountains, and that kind of stuff. So it's some wonderful attributes. There were some things that were wonderful about it, but it was a lower middle class neighborhood, I guess, something like that. I'd pay cash for my first car cutting grass, and so met my wife Sharon. We got married. We had $1.16 in our checking account. It's nothing. And I started buying and selling real estate in my early 20s. Talked some banker into loaning me money because I could talk somebody into doing anything. And I went deeply in debt. Went broke.
How deep in debt?
We had $4 million worth of real estate by the time I was 26, and $3 million worth of debt. And the banks called our notes, and we spent the next 2.5 years of our life losing everything we owned. We had a brand new baby and a toddler, and our marriage hanging on by a thread. And I'm 28 years old and I filed bankruptcy after fighting it for 2.5 years. It crushed me, psychologically, spiritually, everything. I met God in that process on the way up, got to know him on the way down. And so we just, by the time I'm 30 years old, we're basically penniless again, and get the opportunity to start over, but with having had the lights turned off, the water turned off at the house. And so when those people call me on the radio and they're scared, yeah, I remember that instantly. I can feel it. It starts rising up in my throat.
There's empathy involved.
Yeah, 30 years later, I can still feel it in my body.
I watch a lot of clips because I think that's the way that I consume you most, is the clips that go viral. And millions. Like you talk about millions, billions of downloads, but I'll go look at a random clip of somebody calling in going, "We're 70 million." And you're like, what? And you have all these little anecdotes. Do you have like a list of anecdotes that you can go to if somebody calls about certain things, or are they just firing off in your head?
Well, I mean, some of them are joke lines you used 10 years ago and they work, so you keep using them, right? And people connect to those a turn of phrase better than they do just solid information. And so if you can wrap it somehow in something that makes them laugh or makes them go, "Oh my God, he just said that out loud," or a little bit of shock value, then it helps them remember. It helps them learn from the process rather than simply be entertained by other people's disasters.
I always want my doctor to not be emotionally invested because I think they work better if emotion is not getting in the way. If I have a surgeon, I don't want him feeling sad for me. I want him to come to do what he was trained to do. Like, go A, B, C, D. Cool, we got it. Let's get out. Like, that is my hope whenever I go in and have to have somebody work on. I don't want them to care. I need them just to do their job because I feel like sometimes emotion gets in the way. Now, it can help in a good way as well. But whenever you're dealing with people that have sad stories, do you ever just want to be like, "I will help you"?
Yeah. Well, we do. I mean, we don't give them money,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, you could just be like, you ever want to do that? Just be like, "Let me just give you some money."
Yeah. And what we had to do early when that first, because what happens the first time you do that is you've changed the show into a telethon. And people are going to start calling to get money instead of get help and answers. And money's really not what they need. But there's a couple times, I mean, we had a lady the other, year and a half ago, call in, and she owed $60,000 on her house. It's worth $400,000. Her husband had gotten killed in an accident on the job, 30 years old. And she's 4 payments behind, getting ready to lose a $400,000 house with a $60,000 mortgage. Now, I can write that check and be done, and she's got no problem, right? And he was in the roofing. He fell through a roof. He was working on a roof. And I'm talking to her, and I said, "Listen, 100% chance you are not going to lose this house, okay?" And she started crying. I said, "Look, there's no possible way. I'm going to walk you through. I know how to deal with the mortgage company. We're going to put them on hold. We're going to set them on the sidelines, and we're going to hook you up with some local churches, and we're going to get you caught up. Some people are going to help you." And I've got in the back of my head, that was one I was tempted to, but I'm not going to because I don't violate that rule. I never do it. But what happened was another guy in the roofing business in Murfreesboro called us 5 minutes later and paid off her house.
Wow.
And so people do stuff, but I didn't facilitate it. I didn't cause it. I didn't put out a GoFundMe. I didn't talk about it on the air. I just said, "Honey, you're going to be okay. We got this. You have too much equity to lose this house. We're not going to allow it to happen."
What do you do in a situation like that when you say put the mortgage company on the side?
We can just they're required to do what's called a forbearance, to attempt a forbearance, to do a workout plan. And we just know how to work the language with them. And our coaches can get on the phone with them. And if she's 4 payments behind, we can set up double payments for 8 months or something like that. We'll help her get an extra job. Again, local church will step in, maybe catch her up anyway. In this case, the guy just paid the stinking thing off.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, it's neat.
It has to make you feel good too about what you're doing. I feel at times like I'm so separated because, I've got 4 or 5 podcasts. We got the radio show, but I'm in a room. I don't get to like see people. When I tour, it was awesome because I would get to see people.
Yeah, I like that.
And I would actually get to see the humans, and it would almost reinvigorate me because I know people are listening, and I can see the actions happening from things I talk about. But at times, that barrier is there.
Yep.
But it's really cool whenever you can do it and know there are humans out there that will act.
Yep. Well, and, to the same point, we do a lot of live events, and it's one of the reasons we do live events is for us. Because it keeps us in tune with the humans. Because again, you're sitting on stage, you got 3,000 people sitting there. You can judge quickly the room. You can feel the room if you've been doing it a while. Is this material working? Am I connecting? Am I helping? Are the light bulbs coming on over their heads, or are they flipping me off in the back of their head? And the body language and the tone, and you feel it in the air. What's happening in that room? And so it's a way to proof text the material. But it also just invigorates us because we get to see the humans and we go, yeah, dadgum, this is cool. And what's really cool these days is with YouTube and podcast, I've got the youngest audience I've ever had. So the 19-year-old kid that's valeting my car at the steakhouse is like, "You're Dave Ramsey." And that's never happened to me in my whole career, but it's awesome. Which the poor guy, he automatically gets a huge tip just because I'm so thrilled that he's listening. If you're 19 and you get the stuff we teach, you're going to be so stinking rich.
Do you feel, though, that you have to tip also because you don't want people saying Dave Ramsey didn't tip me?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When it's bad service, everybody gets a tip. It doesn't matter. And a good one, because I don't want to be on one of those lists of people that stiff people and that kind of stuff. So
when you started doing that radio show at one radio station, what was the goal from that?
To get leads, to create the radio show itself as a business did not make money for 10 years. It lost money. And so it was a lead magnet. We were gathering humans, and they would come to live events. We made money on those. Later on, we had a class called Financial Peace University that exploded, and they would come to that, and they buy books. We have multiple bestsellers over the years. And so it turned, we were able to monetize the exposure from a business perspective. But all of that ended up being a brand mix, actually, that caused us to find different ways to help people. Because some people are more helped in a live event, some are more helped in a classroom setting, some are more helped by a book sitting in a corner, some are more helped just listening on the show, those kinds of things. So we got all these different ways we can get at you to get you the information so you can change your life. And so it was all about serving them out there, but in different ways.
My best friend, who's also on my morning show, Eddie, he followed what you have taught for a long time is pay off your smallest first. Because he was $40,000 or $50,000 in debt at a time when he didn't have that money. He says he doesn't have it now, and he does. He has 4 kids, so I don't think he has anything. But it's what he did. He paid off the $18 one, $42, and then it took him 5 or 6 years, and he was able to clear $40,000 in credit card debt. I feel a bit that there should be a cap on credit card interest rates. Coming from where I come from, where people, they don't have money, they don't have resources, I didn't know about money. I grabbed a credit card and it was 19%. This sounds awesome. I can actually buy stuff, clothes or food, and the next thing you know, it's out of control, right?
Yep.
How do you feel about interest rates on credit cards?
Well, probably the worst offender in that whole space would be called the payday lender. Those rates run 400 to 800%. They make a 19% look.
And you get cash on that too. We used to go into those, and the great thing about those is you would actually get hard money.
Yep.
Where a credit card, you got credit, and maybe you can, maybe not spend it all, but that cash, it goes quick because it's in your hand.
Yeah, and oftentimes for the wrong things.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got this ridiculous rate on this thing. So some states have now limited or outlawed those, the payday lenders. I, I prefer to teach so many people how not to get screwed that it puts the people screwing people out of business. Just marketplace pressure.
More so than regulate.
Yeah, more so than regulate. Because, there's always people who want to mess up are always going to find a way. I would find a way. I'd find a way around whatever the regulation was to get screwed. And the people that are going to mess you over, they're going to find a way around it some way or another. And but yeah, the credit card interest rates are horrendous. They're ridiculous. And old-fashioned word we would use is called usurious. There used to be, in the old days, there were usury laws in a lot of the states. Like blue laws, you weren't allowed to open your business on Sunday in some old days, in the 50s and the 60s, that kind of thing. And there were usury laws. You couldn't charge more than a certain amount. And when credit cards first got on the scene in the 70s and started really becoming a thing, there were some states that the banks couldn't do business in because they could not charge that rate. And that's probably not a bad thing, but I would prefer to just make it to where it's so uncomfortable that everybody stays away from it. And when they stay away from it, then the people go out of business.
I'd like a little advice. So when I started buying anything, I only ever paid cash because I was so afraid of going in debt. Had no money, so I had nothing. But anything I had, it was $400 for an old crappy Subaru. It was always cash. I don't owe anything to anybody at all now. Even my house, paid cash for it. I've always been so scared of debt because never had money, never wanted to owe. At this point, and is there good debt that I should be involved in? Because I have none, and that's great. But am I costing myself money?
No. The data says that you've done it the right way. Everybody talks about that the sophisticated person will use debt to their advantage, but we don't actually find that in rich people. What we find is they get out of debt and stay out of debt because your most powerful wealth-building tool is your income. And something happens to your income, especially in a world like you and I are in, where we're self-employed and in the spotlight both. When I don't have any debt, I don't have to think about doing the right thing. I just do it. And if somebody doesn't like it, oh well. But if I have to make a payment over here, then I got to think about that. And you take a guy in a regular job, and he'll put up a toxic job because he's got to pay a stupid car payment. But if he hadn't got a car payment, hadn't got any debt, then he just starts walking out the door, and the guy's yelling at him, "Where are you going?" He goes, "I don't have any payments. I don't have to put up with this." And he'll go get a better job in a less toxic environment. So those of us that are self-employed end up making more money because we're not, our stomach's not in knots trying to worry about paying a payment. And so we can go do what's the next cool thing and take a risk with cash, and we can and we can stand up when we need to stand up on something, and whatever the consequences are, that's fine, but you're not going to get my house, you're not going to get my building, and you're not going to get my business because it's all free. Nobody's coming at me.
It sounds like a version of FU money. Like no debt.
Exactly.
It's kind of FU money. It's like, I don't believe in what you're saying, so FU, and you can do that a bit without debt. I do feel like you said, I've been...
you prosper when you do that.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel better, so then I perform better.
Exactly.
Just generally speaking.
Exactly.
But I do feel like you said, I feel I've been conditioned to think that since I'm not using debt to my advantage, that I'm doing wrong and I'm making less because of that.
Yeah, the interesting thing, though, the people that are teaching that are not people that have money. They're people that have studied finance. And a college professor told them that. But it's not, like we did the largest study of millionaires ever done, 10,167 of them. The number of them that said, I borrowed deeply in order to build wealth was very close to zero out of 10,000 millionaires. Almost none of them. The data does not support that it's quote unquote sophisticated and the proper path to build wealth. The people that have done the wealth building didn't do it.
When someone's super rich, like Jennifer Lopez buys a $70 million house, do they get a mortgage on that for the most part? Just generally speaking, do really rich people get mortgages?
Most of the billionaire types don't. Some of the celebrity billionaire types would, if they've got someone, quote, I've got me a man that's managing my money, unquote, and some characters giving them advice and all that. Some of those people will take out a mortgage, but most of them, they're like, if you're at the top of your game in the golf world, and you don't want to think about a mortgage while you're standing over that putt. That putt might be $1 million putt.
It's the same you were talking about even earlier.
Exactly.
Like it's influencing your brain.
And most of those guys understand that, that I play ball differently. I stand over that putt differently. I take a different record deal, or I don't. And because I got this stupid thing hanging around out there. And you get into the things like, Ed McMahon passed away bankrupt. Johnny Carson's sidekick back in the day had $110 million in debt. And we spent a lot of time with Pam, and I have permission from her to say this, so otherwise I wouldn't have disclosed that. But his wife Pam called me when Ed was on his deathbed, and I got to know her, and we hung out. Our coaches have coached her to try to bring their life back around, and but he did that. I mean, there's financial people, in air quotes, giving him advice, deeply in debt, and one of the most famous guys from the 1970s, Johnny Carson's sidekick, no money.
A lot of athletes will go into debt.
Same thing.
And a lot of the athletes, even that I know, didn't come from much.
Right.
Therefore, when they get it, and I think there's also an idea of, well, if I'm getting at this level now, I'm going to get at this level forever.
Yep.
When you have a shelf life.
Yep.
But I know I have a shelf life doing this as well. Now, I don't have to run, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm using my brain, not my body.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that, when the sun's out, get it.
Yep.
Because the sun ain't always going to be out.
Amen.
How do these athletes lose that money? Is it bad advice? No advice?
It's a little bit of everything. I do a lot of NFL rookie camps, and I'm standing in front of these kids going, hey, NFL stands for not for long. It's 3.8 years average. 78% of you will leave the league physically disabled for life. The divorce rate's fourfold the national average. The bankruptcy rate's tenfold the national average. So you generally don't come out of the NFL well, unless you just decide I'm not going to be a stereotypical athlete. Now, some of them are brilliant, and some of them come from a background. One kid, he was a lineman that nobody ever knew his name, an offensive lineman, which is generally some of the smartest people on the team. But he had an MBA from Michigan, and his mom was an obstetrician, and his dad was a lawyer. Well, this guy, he didn't come out of the hood. He came out of that situation. So he grew up around money, had some acumen about it, and he banked everything he made, paid cash for his house, and he'll come out of the league wounded physically, but with a lot of money. And I know several of those guys, but we don't know their names usually. But the ones that are really sad, it's like I'm sitting on stage and this kid's like, hey, Dave, what do you do on the 15th? I give my mom $10,000 at the first of the month, and she calls me on the 15th and needs another $10,000. What do you do? How do you tell your mama no? I said, well, honey, your mama's got the same problem you got. This isn't going to last. And then what's she going to do? Because you can't do this for 20 years. And so you guys are consuming this money. It's going to go away. So when you get your mom into Financial Base University, when you get your mom on a budget where she can take advantage of this, if you want to help her, what you teach her to fish, not just give her fish. And the same thing for you. Well, I mean, he had six cars and bought 3 of his buddies a car and thought he was Elvis Presley and all this stuff. And, and a year and a half later, he's out of the league. And, and it was a name that we would all know if I said it. And so, but I guess it's just the background or the acumen, and it's not, there's no knowledge base at all. And one of my buddies came out of that, and he said, Dave, getting out of the hood's easier than getting the hood out of you.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's all the way out of me yet. I have such trauma from that I make decisions. Even my wife will have to say to me, hey, you're reacting from trauma. There'll be certain things I'm just like, I don't. And she's like, you're okay. Be rational about this.
Yeah.
Be rational about this spend, even if it's a healthy spend or if it's something that's going to be positive.
Yeah.
My stomach still gets in knots.
Well, ours does too because of going broke. I mean, Sharon, my wife, was terrorized during that time. I mean, she it's like, but what helps us is we measure it against our generosity if we're spending, and we also just use the ratio model, and meaning we look and say, okay, if we're going to buy a car that costs that's more than I used to make in a year. Now, how is that okay? Well, it's a very small percentage of our world, and we always ask ourselves the question, and it helps us kind of process the trauma. Okay, if we take that much money right now in our current world, looking at the math that we have today, and burn that much in the middle of the floor, does it change our life? If it does, it's probably too big a thing. But if we're like, you know what, really wouldn't even notice it, so we need to go on that trip. We need to buy that car. We need to make that gift, that generosity piece, because once that money's gone, it's okay. It's not a big enough part of our life anymore that it matters mathematically. We're not at risk, but because the trauma is your body is tightening up, telling you, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. It's like, no, I'm not even going to get a hangnail, and I have to use my mind. Dr. John Deloney is one of our team members. He always says, when you're in trauma, facts are your friends. And so what are the facts? And that helps me process my momentary trauma in the middle of that.
Yeah, mine is back in the trailer park. Everything. Even me getting sick and missing a show leads to streams or ratings going down, which leads to less revenue coming in, which leads to no job, which leads to no money, which leads to back in the trailer park or back in whatever mini apartments we lived in, just like that.
Yeah. But you and I have known each other a long time. I've watched you process that. It's kind of part of your story that you do process it, and you process it in the open like we're doing right now all the time. And what that's given you the ability to do is, as you're going down that chain, at some point, Bobby goes, wait a minute, that's not true. That's not actually a fact. That's a feeling. And then you go, oh, okay, I can probably get off the crazy cycle here. I can step off the crazy train because we're not going back to trailer park. I mean, it's almost mathematically impossible for you to screw it up at that level.
Almost. The key words.
It really is. I mean, me too. I'm not going back to Antioch. I mean, it's almost mathematically impossible at this stage.
Do you keep cash on you?
Always. Yeah.
I keep cash on me too for tipping for the most part, and I do feel like I have to tip big because I worked in businesses where I needed tipped. Yeah. And secondly, I don't want to end up on a freaking TikTok.
Yeah. I'm not as worried about the TikTok thing. To me, it's a form of generosity. And so, and I've done most of those jobs too, and they're hard jobs. And so I try to find unusual ways to do that. And my wife is like, you just give them way too much money. I'm like, he is parking a $140,000 car. I don't need to give him $5. This is Ferris Bueller's Day Out. I mean, come on. Seriously, this is a valet we need to love on a little bit here.
I agree. Well, are cars bad investments?
Yes.
Are they an investment at all?
No, they're not an investment. They're consumption, because they go down in value, like a rock. I mean, that's where Chevy gets that. It's just like they all go down in value, right? And so, but we consume them. And again, boats, same thing. I got boats, I got cars. All these things go down in value. But as long as they're a small percentage of your life, then they don't kill you. But if you make $50,000 a year and you have a $75,000 car, you can't absorb that mathematically. It's going to take you to your knees. And so you bought a car that's killing you. And that's half my show, sell the car, right?
Yeah, I do see a lot of clips.
Yeah.
Where it's, hey, sell the car, get a piece of crap, and drive that for a while until you get yourself back on your feet.
Yeah.
Repairs, though. Repairs on those pieces of crap.
Nothing like the payments on the big ones.
Yeah, I agree. You feel like that's a lot of people, though, that their cars are number one flaw in their financial portfolio?
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's gone way up in the last decade.
Why do you think that is?
It used to be like a $500 car payment was the average. Now it's like $800 is the average. And I get a lot of people calling me with two $1,200 car payments. And, that's $2,500. That's $30,000 a year in car payments. And you make $100. There's no way you can mathematically get on the other side of that. These stupid things are killing you. To impress somebody at a stoplight you will never meet.
I was going to ask if it was all to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, most of the time it is.
How do you feel?
For me, I'm a redneck. It's a loud muffler, right? I mean, come on.
You do drive a big truck. Can I say that? I can say you drive a big truck?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Got a Raptor R, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a big truck. It's cool. I can't drive. I'm not a truck guy. I got an SUV for the first time.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's your go-to drive? What's your daily driver?
Well, I got two cars. One, Big shout out to Hyundai. And then 2, I have a Lamborghini SUV.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very neat. That's a cool car.
I know nothing about cars.
That's a cool car, though. That car, and it
People
will,
look at me.
that will go-kart. That sucker will go. That's a quick boy.
Yes, it's loud too.
Yeah.
If I had more like understanding of cars, I think I would like it more. I'm not a car guy.
Yeah.
But my wife was like, "Hey, you should get an SUV. You keep hitting potholes in cars." I don't see very well either. And
What's your guilty pleasure that you do know something about that you spend money on?
baseball cards.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah. Like I've got some like vintage baseball tend to always go up in value.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
New baseball tend to fluctuate. And so that to me is fun, and I treat it as fun.
It's a hobby, yeah.
But I do go heavier into vintage because I don't want the loss to be as much as it could be if everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like I've got some old like Mickey Mantles and like
Oh, man.
yeah, and I've
That's
got them.
fun.
It is fun. To me, the greatest part about having resources now is getting to do all the things I didn't get to do as a kid, which is I didn't get to buy baseball cards. And now I just do it at a different level. But it feels like what it would have felt like, I think, when I was 12, getting to go and buy baseball cards at the baseball card shop.
And you're doing it, with a maturity level and an intellect so that you're actually going to make money on it. That's kind of cool, too.
I have a guilt that sets in, though. If I buy anything big, I have to give that amount.
Okay.
And the guilt is not that I give, but I think I'm guilted to give. And we give a good amount anyway. But when I buy something that I feel like is a bit extra, there's like an extra little monster in there going, "Hey, don't be a jerk. Like you have, so whatever you just bought, you need to also give to something." Is that healthy?
It's a good practice. If you're doing it, if you're just constantly guilt tripping yourself,
Constantly. The utility I get, and it's
that sounds thing. But I mean, you ought to always be building your generosity muscle. And we do that. We do the same thing, but not from a guilt perspective. We just say, all right, if we're going to spend that on a car, are we doing good with our generosity? Because if we're not, we probably are. Now we're getting over here to selfish rather than selfless. And so you want to be bigger on the generosity side because it's more fun, and it's more rewarding. From a positive perspective, but I don't ever want to guilt anybody into doing stuff.
I live completely guilt. It's just one big guilt blanket wrapped over me. Like I feel I do. I have guilt for my success, but I also don't think my success happened by any way other than just grit.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that anybody handed me anything.
No.
So I can rationally go, I shouldn't have this guilt, but man, it's tough to shake.
Yeah. Well, you look at it and you go, is anybody worth this? Probably not.
Right.
But we put ourselves in a position that we scaled something, and so now we've got this. And, our faith walk helps us kind of navigate the emotions of that because we just go, okay, wait a minute, all of this we don't own. We're managing it for God. All right, so Lord, what do you want to do with your stuff? And he says, I love my kids. You love your kids? I love my kids. You know how to give your kids good things? Yeah, I give you some good things. So you can enjoy some of it and, take care of some of my hungry kids and don't give it to some of my stupid kids. And, and God's got real specific things. And so that kind of feels like I'm managing it for somebody else. And it's easy to give away other people's money.
What do you do for fun then? I'm going to ask you that question you asked me. Like, what do you do with your money that you've made that's fun?
At this stage of our life, right now, Sharon and I have stepped back. I'm only operating about 20% of the business. My son, we're in the succession phase, and my son Daniel runs the business, 80% of it. So I'm still the CEO. I'm still there, and I'm still on the microphone, and I won't quit being on the microphone stuff. But what that's done is it's freed me up a bunch, and so Sharon and I are doing like ridiculous travel. Like,
where's the coolest place you've been?
Just be like, this summer we went to Budapest for 3 days and Vienna for 3 days and got a yacht and went up the coast of Croatia for a week, just the two of us. We were gone for almost a month. And it was a blast. We had so much fun. And beautiful everything and incredible food and my mouth's watering and the wines and the whole bit. And so we just get, and again, those trips are expensive compared to anything we used to do. But they're a very, very small percentage of our current world, and so we don't feel irresponsible or unspiritual to enjoy something occasionally like that.
What's Budapest like?
It's very neat. Very neat. Vienna's very neat. They're both very
Vienna's my
different.
favorite city I've ever been.
Yeah. I mean, Vienna's got this rich history in the arts and the whole Germanic culture all the way back, Bavaria and so forth. And Budapest is got more of a communist flavor from the old communist bloc. But still, they've got Michelin star restaurants all over the streets on both of them. The people are nice in both of them. We love the people. The Croatian people we fell in love with too. Just incredible folks, but just beauty and very safe. All three places. No, I felt a lot safer there than I do in a lot of U.S. cities.
Yeah, that's been what's craziest to me. Vienna was cool to me because it wasn't bombed, right? There's a lot of that culture that lasted through World War II because they didn't go and drop bombs on it. But yeah, I think to me, traveling is something I never did till I got older because I never left the state of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Like, why would I? Like, everything I needed to survive was right close, and it was going to cost me money to go anywhere else. But then once I started to travel, I think that was great for like my outlook on life to see other people in faraway places be actual humans. Like, everything is not within reach that matters. There's things that matter that we don't even get to see in our life.
Well, and it's really, really hard to hate people once you get to know them.
That's a good point.
So any stereotypes or prejudices you might have about a people group or anything, just go hang out with them for a week. You very seldom find a bunch of jerks. I can't hardly name a country that's full of jerks. There's hardly one.
It's to me, it was eye-opening to talk to people in other countries, and they see America kind of how I would see Mexico City, meaning guns everywhere. And it's probably unfair. I've never been to Mexico City, but I just have what the television has showed me. But they're like, man, everywhere you go, you guys like guns, unsafe. And I'm like, it's crazy that's the association that you guys have with us. I mean, it's not wrong because, again, I feel much safer in places in Europe than I do if I'm in the middle of a city here in the States. And so I think for me, that was a big part of it. And it's also like the loudest people at restaurants were always Americans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Just the people that were just carrying on and loud, always an American.
Yeah. And you very seldom see, and not always. I mean, Americans there's a lot of good ones too.
For sure.
But I'm often look across the room and some guy's ripping a waitress up, and it's dadgum American. You know, instead of it's not doing it. There was an Italian guy that was absolute butt in one of the things we went to, but but again, that's just every culture's got their share. But yeah, it's Americans. I don't know what the deal is when we're traveling, but anyway, yeah, it's I didn't get the gun thing from the folks on the. I don't get that much. What I do get often, and I come back very patriotic, is they all want to be here.
For sure. Everybody wants to be an American.
Yeah.
I say that, and the people that I've met look at America like, wow, look at all that you're able to do.
You can do anything you want to do.
Yeah, that's
anytime you want to do it.
Too, yeah.
You walk into a grocery store, all the shelves are full of everything. 63 kinds of mustard. I mean, you don't have that in most communities.
They're blown away by Sam's Club. That was another thing.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, you can get stuff that big. Because we would go, like my wife and I would go to Italy, and we would do these things. We go to people's houses, and they teach you how to cook. Like better than like a class in a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
We would go, and like a mom who cooks for her kids would offer these classes. And so it was just my wife and I, we would go in and learn how to make the noodles.
I love it.
It's amazing. But that's really where the experiences were the best because you can just talk to another person instead of having 17 people around, managing a situation.
Right.
And yeah, I come back thinking everybody thinks America is so cool because of what we have, what we can do.
Yeah.
That is not everywhere else.
Yeah. And they're very polarized on politics, our politics. They look over here and just like we are in the whole thing. And so it's interesting on that. And some of the perspectives are very, very interesting.
You ever think about doing that?
Politics?
Yeah. Have you gotten close?
No, never. I just don't feel, I think I get a lot more good done with what I do than any of those people could ever do. I don't think I would be as effective as a senator helping people as I am. And this is what I'm called to do. So I'm very comfortable in my skin, and I just don't have. I detest a situation that's full of a lack of authenticity, and that's the definition of politics.
Yeah, that's it. There was a time 5, 6 years ago that I was approached to see if I would consider running for the governor of Arkansas. And it's mostly just asking for money.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was blown away by.
Mm-hmm.
And my feeling now towards people in politics is that I hope people do it for the right reason, but that's the new rock star.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get on the news, you can get on social media, just be the loudest,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter what state or if you have a D or an R, like just be the loudest and you're going to have some notoriety, like it's going to come. And I don't need that because I already have that.
Right.
Like I can just yell stuff and be put on social media with my job. Like I have a bit of a platform. So I found, one, I didn't just want to get on the phone and ask for money all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the same as you, I could do more for the things that I cared about because there's only like 3 issues that I upper tier care about. Like there's a lot of things that I care about, but food insecurity is such a massive one for me. Again, just based off how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't resonate when it's time to run for office because I would talk and I would say, well, here are the things that I care about. And I would list food insecurity as my number one. And they're like, listen, we'll get to that. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's what I want to get to. There's a difference and we'll get to that and what I want to get to.
We're going to start with that.
Yeah. Yes. And that wasn't sexy.
No.
And that's not what gets you elected.
Mm-mm.
And so that's why for now I was like, I don't think it's for me. But I always wondered that about you because you're definitely so charismatic and that's 80% of it.
Yeah, I guess it is. I've got friends that are, are elected officials. The last 2 governors are friends of mine. And I think a lot of them, they're good men. And a lot of our local senators and congressmen, I consider them friends, but I don't want to be in that world. They even call me and like, would you come up and testify about so-and-so about debt? And I'm like, no.
I feel too with them because you talked earlier about
they just want to use my name is the only reason they want me up there.
Having no debt is the ability to make decisions based on where your heart takes you.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're a politician, you can't do that. It's almost like you have total debt to keep your job.
Yep. And it's just, you got to try to keep too many people happy. And I'd prefer to just pick out, if I want to very selectively, intentionally decide who I'm going to make mad.
There's a lot of advice out there now because social media, you have the ability to chase whatever you want. There is a niche for everything. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome and awful, and there are no gatekeepers, and that's awesome and awful. Mm-hmm. It's a pendulum, right?
It's anarchy. Yeah.
Yep. What's like common financial advice that's wrong?
Most everything on TikTok. Yeah, TikTok is like, in the, what years was that? Let me think. It was in the 80s and even up into the 90s. There were these things on midnight, on television, on the cable TV at midnight, infomercials. And you would watch some guy sitting by the waves, and he had done nothing down real estate and buy and sell real estate and flip this house and all that kind of thing. And you could buy his tape set for $3,000 and learn how to get rich in real estate and those kinds of, doing the stuff I did to go broke. You'd see exactly how you would do it. And so,
what about timeshares? Are those that?
It's the legalized fraud. But it's horrible.
So there's no good to it.
There's no good to timeshares. Timeshares are nasty, and the people in the industry are unbelievably scummy. It is a nasty world. But anyway, a lot of the flip this house stuff on TikTok is all over the place, or a lot of crypto stuff on TikTok. A lot of most of it's kind of get rich quick vibe. It's like, you're looking for an easy button. I got an easy button. I'll sell you an easy button for $3,422. If you follow my system, you can buy and sell stocks, day trade stocks, which 97% of the people that day trade stocks lose money in a 6 month period of time.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
That's exceptionally high. I thought it would be more than 50 for sure, but I didn't know it would be up in the 90s.
It's just like, it's a 100% chance of losing money. It's like nuts. I mean, you have a better shot at the roulette wheel, mathematically, statistically. So it's crazy. And the difference is in the roulette wheel, at least you're taking a chance. But on the day trading, they think they got the system. They bought the system off some guy on TikTok, and he rented a jet and then filmed it like he owned the jet, and I got a jet. And I'm like, yeah, right. What you got is a bunch of crap. But yeah.
How do you feel about crypto?
I don't buy anything that is a commodity. And so I don't buy barrels of oil off of the commodities market. I don't buy gold. I don't buy soybeans. I don't buy the Deutschmark or the euro. Those are currencies. and crypto is a currency, and it's a commodity. And so I buy things that generate money, and that way I can actually place a value on them, and that would be like a company. An example of that would be buying a stock. I don't buy single stocks, I buy mutual funds. But a company that's Home Depot's making money, you can look at the numbers. It's actually producing something. It's not just a thing. A commodity is just a thing. And the only reason that a thing goes up in value is shortages or perceived shortages. Greed and fear drive the markets. And that's why crypto doesn't actually produce anything. It's just a currency. And it's not it's nothing necessarily evil about it. It's a very young currency, doesn't have a long track record, and the track record that it does have is very volatile, so it's really scary. But all the cool kids are doing it, and so that's why everybody's in it. But I don't have anything, and I don't put money in stuff like that because, like we said earlier, it's kind of trauma. I don't like losing money. I don't like gambling. I don't play cards.
You don't gamble at all?
I don't gamble. I don't do anything. My wife will put some quarters in a slot machine or something like that, but a lot of my buddies play poker and stuff. I get zero joy out of that. It makes my stomach go up into my throat, and it is not entertaining for me. It's not fun. It reminds me of trauma, and I go down that crazy cycle that we're talking about, and so I don't do it. I don't get joy out of losing money. I understand how people get a thrill out of the possibility of losing money. So like Michael Jordan is known to do, all that kind of stuff. That he's got the money to do it. That's fine. I'm not mad at Michael. It's just I don't. It's not fun for me. So I don't do that. And crypto's right in that bucket. It's the same thing. And so I don't get joy out of being a cool kid. I don't get joy out of being on the cutting edge and whatever. I just want to buy something that's boring and has always gone up in value, like vintage baseball cards versus brand new ones.
Mm-hmm. What do you love that you don't really get to talk about much because everybody wants to hear you talk about money?
I talk about anything I really want to. I don't really have any limitations. I really enjoy. We coach about 10,000 small businesses with our Entree Leadership brand, and I do a podcast called Entree Leadership where I'm answering questions for small business people, and leadership questions come up a lot, and running a business questions, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the business part of growing our business over the years, and taking care of our team and loving our team well, and the leadership. So I do a lot of leadership conferences as a keynote speaker. Or
it's
as
all
a speaker.
business.
Yeah, I love it. I love leadership.
You're still in then. So it's not to you. You're not just maintaining by doing what everybody expects of you because you do it well. You still love it.
Yeah, I thoroughly love it. Because leadership, the difference in that, and when I help somebody with their money, that's a one-to-one transaction. If I help a guy or a gal be a better leader, that helps 50 people because he's leading or 100 people that they're leading. And they weren't doing as good a job, and now they're doing a great job. So that's got a force multiplier to it that's pretty cool.
Leadership is interesting, especially when you have to lead multiple people with different personalities.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the things, because people in my industry in podcasting or radio will come to me and say, hey, how do you manage different personalities? And I say differently.
Yeah.
I think there's not a one-size-fit-all leadership method. Everybody must do this way.
No.
I was going to ask if you subscribe to that same theory.
I agree completely. Now, what you do have to have is some principles involved that apply to regardless of your personality. The principles are we have to get our work done. Hello?
On time, good attitude.
Principles are we have to, and from the leadership position, bosses push, leaders pull. And so regardless of personality style, my job is to sell them, to teach them, hey, the train's going this way. The train's going to a shiny place. You want to be on the train. Here's the train. Get on the train. Instead of standing behind them with a whip. Because if your organization is being pushed rather than pulled, it's always moving at the speed of the slowest common denominator. And it grinds to a halt pretty quick because we're waiting on the doofus at the end that won't keep up. And that doesn't work.
I've always felt that hiring, energy, and attitude, massive for me as far as like having successful hires, that maybe they didn't know as much in a certain area as someone else that I was talking to. But it's so much easier to have to slow somebody down than to push them faster.
Absolutely. That and character.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got to be a dependable human being.
On our show, the morning show, the hours are weird.
Mm-hmm.
Still very hard. It sucks. And forever, and I wrote about it in my first book, if you were 1 minute late, you got sent home. And it wasn't because you had to be there at exactly that time. It was because everybody else got there before the deadline time.
Yep.
And by you not getting there, that shows that you feel like your time's a little more important than everybody else.
Yep.
And
It's an arrogance.
that's when it starts to get toxic within the group.
When I was in my 20s, I was very important, I thought. And I was a plate spinner. I had plates spinning everywhere, all these different deals. I was always had deals. And I was perpetually late for everything because I was so important. And so but I ended up I was sitting down with this guy that was going to do an investment in one of our real estate projects, and a very wealthy guy, a CEO. And I come in 15 minutes late, and he goes, "You're late." I said, "Yeah, I got all this going on." He goes, "You're really important, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't mean no." But I mean, he goes, "No, you understand. When you come in here late, you are saying to me, I'm not as important as everything else you have going on. If you named a rock star or you named a world figure that you wanted to meet with and you had a meeting with them, you would be early, regardless of how all the other things you had going on. But you're late to meet with me, and it says to me that I'm not important. That's arrogance." He just chastised me. You know what? I don't think I've ever been late after that one conversation. It hurt my feelings so bad. He was so right. And this is arrogance. It is arrogance. It's exactly what it is. And so, no, around Ramsey, we just say trains run on time. Trains run on time. And, we're broadcasters too, so we're looking at the clock, and, you don't have to hit the clock. I was speaking at a church the other day, and they had like 4 services. And so they got to get the parking lot turned over. And it's like, the guy goes, "You got 34 minutes. You don't have 35. Put the clock up." And I'm in at 33. Give him an extra minute to get the parking lot, And he's like, "Nobody comes in early." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you said that, number one. Number two, it's how my brain works from 30 years after that conversation with that guy chastising me. I'm going to be early. I'm going to hit the clock."
I got like 3 more questions for you, and I want to go to Financial Peace University. Has that modified itself as technology changes? Have you had to change elements of that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the church world has changed. It was largely taught in churches. 50,000 churches have had 10 million people go through it. That's the size it was and is. But the number of churches that meet during the week, like a Tuesday night, to do a marriage class or a money class, almost zero now. That has shifted. Pre-COVID, it was already going down, but COVID just put a stake in it, ended it. And so the way people do church has changed dramatically in the last decade. And that was, for better or for worse, was our distribution method for that thing. So, yeah, we went to digital. What is happening right now that is very exciting is we have woven the teaching pieces, do this, then do this, don't do this, into the EveryDollar app. And so as people are running their budgets, they're getting prompts of videos, and we're teaching them the same material inside the thing digitally. And the success rate of that is crazy good. It's probably better than when we were doing it analog. And it's just in the early stages. But all of our beta testing and stuff, we're doing a release in about 3 weeks, the next version of EveryDollar. But that's the methodology that we've shifted to go to digital.
With like Ramsey Plus?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, that is so technological. And I find myself, and I'm in my 40s, starting to go like, whoa, I don't quite get that. Do you have a whole younger, like 20s and 30s that come in and go, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is how it's consumed?
Yeah. Well, exactly. Because who is it? My target audience is not me. I'm 65. I'm not the focus group, not even close. And so the target audience is 34-year-old with 2 kids, and they got student loan debt, they got credit card debt, they got car payment, and they feel stuck. And the one thing they fight about most in their marriage is money. And so we've got the antidote for their life. We can fix it. We've just got to figure out a way to inject it. And to your point, the Gen Zs and millennials are 2 wonderful generations to have on your team. I've got about 600 of them in those 2 generations working for us out of 1,100, and maybe 700 actually out of 1,100. But they are abundance mentality because they grew up with this magic wand in their hand, and they can just push a button and stuff shows up on their front porch. And so why couldn't I just push a button and fix this? And so they believe almost anything's possible in the creation of a product, the delivery of a product, or the effect of a product, a digital product. And so to have those people in a room with that mentality and that spirit while you're building out something like this, you can't do it if you don't have them, because it's native to their brain. It's not native to my brain. My brain's native to 8-track tapes, for God's sakes, you know. So, but I can catch up if I force my intellect to do it. But it's not my natural state. It's their natural state. The only downside they've got in their generation is because they've got this magic wand, they have no patience. They want it right now. They want everything microwaved. They don't want crock pot anything. And so if something doesn't work in about 20 minutes, they want to change it immediately. No, let's just stick with it a minute. Let's cook it a little bit. It could tender up. I think it's going to be okay. Let's not give up on everything so fast. But iterate. Yeah, well, we're going to iterate, but you know, so the old dog can drag them through that stuff, and you end up with this wonderful working situation when you're creating products like that.
When couples are fighting about money, does like Amazon purchases, is that a big part of it? They're just like one of them's ordering a lot of stuff to the house?
You know, generally they're not working together, and there's not a lot of transparency. One of them's doing stuff the other one doesn't even know about. They're not necessarily hiding it. Sometimes they are, but it's like the wife is handling the money and she just gives her husband an allowance, or vice versa. And then all of a sudden they look up and they go, well, I want a new car. Well, honey, we don't have any money for a new car. We got all this credit card debt. Why we got credit card debt? Well, because you keep spending. Well, nobody said anything. And there was just it's disorganized, it's chaotic, and it's not a top-down strategy for laying it all out together. We both agree to it. We both implement it. And there's tons of communication about our values while we do that. And that causes a couple to be knit together and unified. And the opposite of that is when you have all this chaos, disorganization, and there's money flying everywhere. It's inefficient for the money piece, but it's disastrous from the relationship standpoint.
What about shared checking accounts?
100% have to. Yeah. And again, it's data-based, okay? This idea that you can have a roommate and be married to them, and you have two separate lives, and that causes success, there's no data to support that. Again, go back to the millionaire study we did with 10,167 of them. 89% said, I worked very closely with high communication with my spouse to get here. When you interview the public, 40% say that, and they're broke. And so there's causation and correlation right there. There's statistical, and that data is solid. And so there, you know, the couples that work together have higher quality marriage, higher happiness factor when they're doing marriage surveys, higher likelihood of staying together, and a much more efficient use of the money, so you build wealth faster. It's very simple. Instead of I've got mine, you got yours, and you can't, you know, you pay your car payment. It's like, it's not your college roommate. This is your wife.
One final question, and when I was asking earlier if like things change because things are changing, your book, The Total Money Makeover, which I'm assuming has sold so many because it's evergreen. It feels evergreen.
It is. Yeah. It's still on the bestseller list.
But also, are you having to expand it because new elements are introduced?
No, it was principle-based. It wasn't product-based. And so, live on less than you make, you don't need to expand that. That doesn't change when the digital world takes over. You still got to live on less than you make. So, being on a written plan, a budget of some kind, yeah, maybe you're doing it on an app versus a yellow pad, but you still have to have a freaking plan and stick to it. You don't get to Florida unless you have a map. Hello. And so you don't just take off driving and hope you get there. Everything in that book is so principled, like that, based on principles, and they're evergreen, and that's why the book has been evergreen. We've updated it. We went back in and changed a few of the stories, updated the stats. I think we did a 20-year edition the other day or something, anniversary edition. Yeah, because I
saw that. That's why I asked.
Yeah, it's like 15 million copies or something.
That's
now.
crazy.
It's nuts.
That book to me reminds me, and I'll end on this, of Dale Carnegie's book, which I've read many times because fundamentally, even though that book was written 100 plus years ago,
yep,
that's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to win friends, get people to like you, be successful, like the same fundamentals. Some things have changed
yep,
with technology, with different people, different abilities, different utilities, but it's the same. And I feel like that book is that.
Exactly. It's principles of relationships, how to win friends and influence people. And I sat next to a lady at I was over at the ballpark watching one of my grandkids play ball the other night, and this 22-year-old sitting there reading that book.
You saw it? You just saw it randomly?
Yeah, she was just sitting there in the
That's
stands
great.
reading that book. She was watching her little brother or whatever it was out there, and she's reading that book. I said, "How old are you?" And she said, "I'm 22." And I said, "It's very cool that you're reading that. That book will change your life." And she's like, "Well, thank you."
Did she know that was you saying that to her?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You never said, because I wrote that book.
No, not mine. Dale Carnegie's.
Oh, I thought you were talking about yours.
No,
Hey, Mike,
no.
did you think he was talking about his?
No, I knew what he meant.
Oh, I thought he was talking about his. I was like, you at least should have said, I wrote that.
No,
Got
my
it.
face would be on the front of that one. Yeah, that would be
Got
hard
it.
to get away from. But
The
yeah.
thing about books now is what's weird is I read everything digitally.
Mm-hmm.
I never remember titles of books
Mhm.
because there's no book cover to look at every time. So when I pick up my iPad and I'm on page 172, I don't see the cover again. And I just read the next page. And so someone will say, what are you reading? Oh, I don't remember the title of it. Let me go look at my bought books and see what it is. It's just a little.
Yeah, I'll do that. I do that with fiction. I do most of it digitally. I can't do audiobooks on fiction. It's not entertaining to me.
I don't do audiobooks.
I do them on some self-improvement things.
I have too many podcasts.
Like
I
just did. I had read the book hardcover, and the guy's a friend of mine, James Clear, that did Atomic Habits, and it's an evergreen. It's a
I've read it. It's
perennial bestseller.
Great.
But his audio book is better to me than the other. It's him reading it, and he did a great job with it. The book is amazing. He did a great job. But but yeah, stuff like that. I'll hit the audio on it because it's the same. I'm doing it at the same time I would consume a podcast, or I would consume something else. Like driving over here from my house this morning. What have I got on? Well, a podcast, right? And so, or an audio book. That'd be the time frame that I would do it.
All right, final question, because you've mentioned these people that you're like your friends. Who's like the coolest friend you have that if you were to have told yourself 30 or 40 years ago that you'd have this friend, it'd be like, wow.
Huh. That's a good question. I don't know. I would more, I don't know if there's a single person. It's more of like the same privilege you've had, and I think it is a privilege that I get to actually meet and hang out with this person, and I like them. There's a whole bunch of those, and lately it's been these podcasters that are blowing up and moved to town.
Yeah.
So, Theo Vaughn struck up a friendship with Theo. Now, who would think me and Theo would hang? I mean, that's two weird people hanging out together, but I love the guy. And Sean Ryan, same thing. Same thing. Love the guy. And both right here in town, all within a stone's throw of your house right here in my house. And both young guys compared to me. But they're the cool kids right now, some of them, and to get to do those things, hang out with them, and some of these other guys, I got to be on a bunch of podcasts in the last year that were pretty neat.
Yeah, I watched on Theo. It was great.
Yeah, he's very thoughtful. Like most comedians that I know are brilliant people. They're very smart because it's hard to do. Comedy is a really tough thing. And so, but anyway, yeah, I just bucket it with that. And then all the country music people and all those people I've gotten to meet over the years, you have too. And hang out with some of them, smoke cigars, hang out, and that kind of stuff. I really like them. I just enjoy people. And but just the idea that Dave Ramsey from Antioch gets to hang out in a room with fill in the blank, I'm still blown away by that.
That's how I feel, because I mentioned before we started taping that John Fogerty was over here.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing right there.
And
That's pretty cool.
I got to tell my stepdad, and that was his favorite band. And I was like, I had John Fogerty over, and he doesn't care about anything I do. Not that he doesn't care in his heart, but he has no interest.
Right.
Because he's still in Mountain Pine, Arkansas, and
Right.
doesn't really follow music or pop culture. And he's like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That was cool to me. Have John Fogerty come over to the
Absolutely.
house.
That was cool to me when I heard it. That's very neat. Yeah.
Well, it's great to see. I appreciate
You too, brother.
giving your time to come over and hang out.
So proud of you guys.
And to the girl that was reading your book, it wasn't. I so thought you were watching somebody read your book. So thought that. And then you didn't say anything, and I was like, that does not sound like Dave.
That would be an ego play from now on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good book. Look at the guy on the front.
Dave, thank you so much. And one day we should go to dinner and actually talk like humans. But I feel like your human talk is elevated above me, because I tried to get you a human, and you're like, no, my human thing is business.
No, it's just leadership.
No, I know. I don't think I can keep up.
Oh, bull. You keep playing that card.
It's not a
You
card.
keep playing that card the rest of your life. It's
All right.
It's working well for you.
Yeah,
Keep
it's
it up.
working okay. All right, there he is.
Hey, yeah, and let's the four of us go get a really nice dinner somewhere.
Do you always have to pay when you go out? Do people expect? Because people expect me to pay everywhere we go, and I'm good with it because I feel like I have it, but I wonder if that's with you.
No. I mean, our friends, we generally just everybody tosses my debit card and their credit cards in the middle of the table, and they just whatever's on there, and we split it up.
Really?
Sometimes I'm a wine guy, and so sometimes I'll bring some good wine that they might not have, and that be like my extra thing. But that's just because I selfishly want to drink that.
What's the most expensive bottle of wine you've ever bought?
I've ever bought?
Yeah.
$5,000 probably.
Does it taste different?
Oh yeah. I hang out with guys that drink $20,000 bottles. And
sophisticated palate, Dave Ramsey.
Yes, I'm learning. But I'm learning with these guys. But yeah, it's you practice a little bit, you can get used to it.
Dave, thanks for the time, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, Bobby.